Okay, it's Marty Coleman. I'm back here with Parker Coleman. We are going to review the games of Friday, April 8th, 2022. Without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Parker Coleman.
So we had some interesting results yesterday. We started off with the Red Sox and the Yankees. This game was rescheduled. It was postponed yesterday. One of two games, or postponed the day before. It wasn't postponed yesterday. It was postponed the day before. But one of two games are postponed on Thursday that are replayed. The Red Sox jumped on the Yankees early as Kike Hernandez walked and Rafael Devers hit a two-run home run. Two batters, 2 runs for the Red Sox. Bogarts would single and Martinez would double to make it 3-0. But the Yankees were able to get two back in the bottom of the first, as Judge would single, and I think people could hear that. Yeah, sorry. The Yankees would put two on the board, however, get 2 runs back as Judge would single, Rizzo would homer, making it 3-2. In the bottom of the third, Stanton would hit a solo shot to tie the game in the fourth. Bottom of the fourth, Stanton would hit a solo shot to tie the game. In the top of the sixth, the Red Sox would retake the lead as Bogarts would double and score off of a Alex Verdugo single. In the bottom of the eighth, LeMahieu would tie the game up with a solo home run. This was a pretty back and forth ball game. The Red Sox were only able to score one in the 10th as a Bogarts single after the bases were loaded would tie it. Extra inning rule is back, much to the chagrin of fans. In the bottom of the 10th, Gleyber Torres would tie with a sac fly. In the bottom of the 11th, after the Red Sox didn't score anything, Josh Donaldson became the first of two people to walk off the opening day game for their new team. As he would single scoring Kiner Falefa, the Yankees walk off the Red Sox in 11 innings and win 6-5. Donaldson was the first star, 2 for 6, the walk-off RBI. LeMahieu was the second star, 1 for 3, home run, tying a game-tying home run, walk, RBI. Rizzo was 1 for 3, home run, 2 RBIs. 5 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for the Red Sox, 6 runs, 9 hits, no errors for the Yankees. Tigers and White Sox. This was the second one of the new player walking off on opening day. We'll get to that in a second. First, at the top of the first, the White Sox would score early as Osmani Grandal and Jose Abreu would walk. After some moving over, they would both be singled in by Eloy Jimenez. Or no, they wouldn't both be singled in by Eloy Jimenez. My bad. Grandal would be scored by Eloy Jimenez. Single would be 1-0. The Sox would score more in the top of the second as Berger would double, and was scored by A.J. Pollock, his first RBI as a White Sox. And then Pollock would be scored by a double by Luis Robert. It would be 3-0 White Sox. In the bottom of the fourth, Lucas Giolito left due to an abdominal strain. The news came out today that he's going to miss at least 2 starts and is going on the IL. Another big loss for the White Sox as they're decimated by injuries. Tigers get on the board as Grossman is hit, Meadows walks, and Jimmer Candelario singles in Robbie Grossman, 3-1. And then the Tigers in the bottom of the eighth were able to tie it as Robbie Grossman singles, Meadows walk again, and Baez would single to load the bases. Miguel Cabrera, about now 12 hits away, I believe, from 3,000. He got the 2 RBI single here to tie it. At the top of the ninth, Andrew Vaughn would homer, making it 4-3. That looked like it would have deflated the Tigers, but they came right back. Eric Haas, who was just a breakout, I don't know if I could call him a star, but a breakout player last year, a great platooning catcher, would tie it with a solo home run. And then Austin Meadows would get his first hit for the Tigers. It was a triple. Javier Baez would walk it off on a reviewed single. It originally hit the wall, but Pollock tried to be sneaky and play it like he caught it. That was reviewed, pretty easily overturned. A very long single, obviously, because he didn't have to go further, but Baez would walk it off. Tigers would win 5-4. Baez went 2-5 with a walk-off RBI. Meadows had a very, very good game with going 1 for 2, a triple, and 3 walks. Pollock was 3 for 5 with an RBI and a losing effort. 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the White Sox. 5 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Tigers. Marlins Giants. This game is a little earlier than it was. I like to go by time. However, since the Brewers and Cubs were postponed, That was the only postponed game from yesterday. I got to put the Marlins and Giants here. We start in the bottom of the third as Joey Bart walks and then scores on a single from Brandon Belt in the air by Joey Wendell. Darian Ruff would then score Belt on a single. It's 2-0. And then Joey Bart would take Alcantara deep in the bottom of the fifth, making it 3-0 Giants. The Marlins were able to score two as Wendell would walk and Stallings would homer, making it 3-2. Belt would homer in the eighth, making it 4-2. After Wendell singles, Rojas to second on Estrada's error. He would score off of a Stallings single and a Chisholm homer. Jazz Chisholm, I didn't include him in the 3 stars here, but he probably deserved it because right now, as we speak, he has a 2,419 OPS, I'd like to say, on pace for a 530 WRC plus. Those can't last, but Stallings homer, or not Stallings, sorry. Chisholm's homer did give the Marlins the lead. In the 10th inning, the Marlins were unable to, I skipped the 9th with Thairo Estrada making up for his error by tying the game with a solo shot, making it 5-5. The Marlins were unable to score in the 10th, and a bit of a scare for the Giants as after a lineout, Mauricio Dubon has doubled off a second, so there's nobody on. However, Darren Ruff would walk, and Austin Slater would hit a walk-off double. The Giants would win 6-5. As Slater I had him be the first star for the RBI walk-off double. He was 1 for 3. Thairo Estrada got the second star. He was 1 for 4, homer and RBI. I gave it to Stallings, but now thinking about it, I probably should have given it to Jazz Chisholm. However, Stallings did probably deserve some mention because he was 2 for the home run and 3 RBIs. 5 runs, 9 hits, 2 errors for the Marlins. 6 runs, 6 hits, 2 errors for the Giants. Athletics Phillies. Now, the Phillies did win yesterday, but they did give us all that we expected from them: bad pitching and errors. In the top of the first, Kyle Schwarber leads off the Phillies season with a home run. Schwarber starts it again, starts a rally also in the third inning as he walks. Bermuda would single, Harper a double, making it 2-0. Hoskins would single, yes, scoring both of the runners on base. And then after Hoskins moves over, Gregorius would single, making it 5-0. The A's would get on the board as Chad Pinder would hit a solo shot, making it 5-1. 2 walks and a hit in the bottom of the 6th lead to a sac fly by Matt Vierling, but in the 7th inning, that's really where it all falls apart as the A's wake up. Sean Murphy doubles, Pinder singles, and that leads to a 3-run shot by Brown. 2 Phillies errors were made, one by Bryson Stott, who is the new young shortstop for the Phils. Tony Kemp's single, Stott's aforementioned error would make it 6-5. And that would cut it close. However, the Phillies never gave up the lead, as after Harper walks, another run scores off of a Nick Castellanos double. Back-to-back doubles in the bottom of the 8th by Segura, and Bryson Stott scores a run. Lastly, Schwarber continues singling in Bryson Stott. Phillies win 9-5. Schwarber was the first star, 2 for 2 RBIs, a walk, a home run. Seth Brown was the second star, 1 for 3, home run, 3 RBIs. Hoskins was the third, 2 for 3, 2 RBIs and a walk. 5 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Athletics. 9 runs, 11 hits, 2 errors for the Phillies. That's kind of how it's going to be for the Phillies. They're going to give up a lot of runs, but they're also going to score a lot of runs. They're also going to make a lot of errors. And I don't know how bad Stott is projected to be at short fielding wise, but he does have some inexperience, and that can lead to errors. So there is a good chance that the shortstop position for the Phillies, one of the few good positions, defensive runs saved wise, projected, isn't good either. Rays Orioles. The Orioles would surprise McClanahan early to load the bases on a walk hit by pitch and single. McClanahan would hang in there and get out of it. 3 singles by Franco, Rosarena, and Diaz would load the bases in the bottom of the 3rd. Josh Lowe would get Brandon Lau, would get the first RBI on a sac fly. And in the top of the 6th, the Orioles would tie the game as Anthony Santander would hit a solo shot. Now tied at 1. In the bottom of the 8th, the Rays would be able to rally and steal the game from the O's as Franco would get his third hit of the day. G-Man Choi would pinch hit and walk. Rosarena would single. Then Francisco Mejia would be the hero as he did set another sac fly, making it 2-1. The Rays would have relinquished the lead in the ninth. Quick game. Rays beat the Orioles 2-1. Mejia was the first star with the game-winning RBI sacrifice fly. Franco was the second star as he was 3 for 4. And Rosarena was the third star. He was 2 for 4. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for the Orioles. 2 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Rays. Dodgers Rockies. It's said that a good way to win baseball games is put up crooked numbers in an inning, and the Dodgers definitely did that. In one inning, they scored all their runs in one inning, but we start in the bottom of the second as the Rockies surprisingly jump on the Dodgers first, as Ryan McMahon doubles, Connor Joe singles, Grichuk gets an RBI ground out. First game as a Rocky. Joe would later single on a Jose Iglesias. Joe would later score on a Jose Iglesias single. This was a big single for Jose Iglesias, his first at-bat and his first RBI since his dad passed away. However, in the top of the fourth, Kyle Freeland would kind of lose it as Will Smith would single and Chris Taylor would double. Both of them scored off of a Gavin Lux single to tie the game at 2. Lux would score off a Mookie Betts double, then Freddie Freeman would walk. Then Turner single scores Betts. Freeman would score on a wild pitch after Justin Turner struck out. So very quickly, the Dodgers score 5 runs in a row in the fourth inning. They wouldn't score again. So maybe if this fourth inning doesn't happen, the Rockies could have had it early. Could have had a win to start the season off. In the bottom of the ninth, the Rockies tried to rally as Elias Diaz would double after Iglesias strikes out. Charlie Blackmon doubles and Diaz, making it 5-3. Get the tying run at the plate. However, the Dodgers would win 5-3. Wheeler was the first star, going 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Lux was the second star, going 1 for 2, 2 RBIs, and 2 walks. Chris Taylor was 2 for 4. 5 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Rockies. Mariners Twins. This game's going to be really quick because there really wasn't a whole lot of offense. Pretty good pitching matchup between Robbie Ray and Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan did make one big mistake, and it was in the first inning as the Ends would score first, as France would be hit, and Mitch Haniger reached Joe Ryan with a 2-run homer. Only runs the Mariners would score all day, and the Mariners would never relinquish that lead. As in the bottom of the fourth, Urshela would cut the lead in half with a solo home run, making it 2-1 Mariners, which I don't know what the score is right now, but before we started this, it was 2-1. It was 2-1 Mariners. The score right there.
So Joe Ryan is the big named rookie, right? He should be. It's still 2-1 in the top of the 8th. But Joe Ryan was a rookie that they're expecting a lot out of. I heard his name a couple times in the last week.
He has been some people's rookie of the year picks. He didn't look bad, I would say, yesterday, but he didn't look like a rookie of the year candidate, if that makes sense. Still first game, still a lot of time to improve. Robbie Ray would go 7 innings of 1-run baseball. He was definitely the first star. Luis Arraez would single, with Gary Sanchez being the game-winning run at home plate. This got interesting because Sanchez would hit one and it would be caught at the wall by Jesse Winker. And he thought it was a home run. He thought it was gone. He bat flipped. The Twins announcer got excited, and it didn't end up working out. The Mariners would win 2-1, just like last year. Kind of a shade of last year with a one-run win. Robbie Ray was easily the first star, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run. Mitch Haniger was obviously the second star because he was the only RBIs the Mariners got. 1 for 4, home run, 2 RBIs. Urshela, 1 for 3, home run, RBI. He would be the third star, 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Mariners. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors for the Twins. It was really hard because, you could see that I have like half the page left. I could have used this as extra space for the Astros Angels game. So a lot of stuff happened in that game, but we'll get to that. New York Mets, Washington Nationals. This game was delayed again, and I will say that I do like the idea of the Apple TV games. The announcers need to be different because I wasn't watching this Mets Nationals game. I was watching the Astros and the Angels, But somebody tweeted out that in a one-run game they were talking about Brazilian barbecue, and I don't know if any announcers will ever watch this or if anyone will ever watch this. But if you're an announcer in a one-run game, nobody cares about what type of barbecue you like, and I will get to that in the Angels game as well whenever we get there. However, Josh Bell would be hit in the bottom of the second. Keeper Ruiz would single for runners on the corners. Yadier Hernandez sac fly would make it 1-0 Nats. Jeff McNeil would homer, tying the game at 1-1 for the Mets. In the fourth, Francisco Lindor would walk and Eduardo Escobar would double. Both would be singled in by Robinson Cano. Cano would later be thrown out at home. Second night in a row that a Mets player gets thrown out at home. In the bottom of the fourth, Cruz would single and Josh Bell would homer to tie the game at 3. In the top of the fifth, Brandon Nimmo triples and Starling Marte doubles to make it 4-3. However, all hell broke loose as Cishek would come in and hit Lindor right around the head. And the Mets didn't like this. This is the second night in a row also that a player has been hit near the head shoulder area as Pete Alonso was hit in the ninth, and the bench is cleared. Cishek is thrown out. And it was first bench clearing of 2021. It was game 2 of 2022. Sorry, it was game 2. In the top of the sixth, 2 singles by Canham and McNeil would end up. They both end up scoring after okay. In the top of the sixth, 2 singles by Canha and McNeil would they both end up scoring after a successful sacrifice bunt by Tomas Nido. Starling Marte would single in both, making it 6-3. Alonso in the top of the ninth would double. Escobar would walk. Lastly, McNeil would single in Alonso. The Mets would win 7-3. Scherzer would win in his first game back in the Nat Stadium. Marte went 2 for 5, 3 RBIs and a double. McNeil went 3 for 4, 3 RBIs and a home run. Cano went 2 for 3 with 2 walks. 7 runs, 13 hits, no errors for the Mets. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Nationals. Now we're going to get into the portion of games here where I like to call them the games where a team has a 7-run lead, and they both almost end up the same. One team ended up winning, one team ended up losing, but we'll talk about the Texas Rangers. And like I said about the Philadelphia Phillies, we're getting what we're expecting out of the Rangers. A lot of runs, but a lot of runs given up. Brad Miller would lead off the season with a home run. Simeon would walk, Seager would single, Simeon would score on a wild pitch. That would also walk Mitch Garver. Nathaniel Lowe would single, scoring another. Ibanez would reach safely. Somebody else was out, but the Rangers would put up 4 on the Blue Jays. And this shows you how quick Instagram people are, because there are already memes about the Blue Jays being compared to the 2021 Padres in the second inning after they went down 6-0. And I spoiled what happens next. As they go down 6-0, Mitch Garver has a 2 RBI home run as Seager would get his second hit as well. At the top of the fourth, Seager would walk. He had a pretty solid game, but he was upstaged by the Blue Jays, as I said. Garver would single. It would be 7-0 after a Nathaniel Lowe single. Finally, the Blue Jays score as Springer walks and Bichette and Guerrero single to get them on the board. Guerrero gets the RBI. Teoscar Hernandez would walk. A fielder's choice would score. This fielder's choice is by Lourdes Gurriel. Then Alejandro Kirk would hit a sac fly, making it 7-3. And the bottom of the fifth, Springer would walk. Bichette would single. And then Vladimir Guerrero Jr. would get another RBI single, back-to-back innings. And then Teoscar Hernandez would hit a 3-run home run off of Josh Sborz, my dad's favorite pitcher.
Yes.
And that would tie the game at 7. The Jays would take the lead in the bottom of the sixth as Jansen would walk and Espinal would drive him in on a double. Adolis Garcia would tie the game in the top of the seventh with a solo home run. That would tie it at 8. This was a wild game. And there are some pretty good games on the first day, but this is the first really super crazy, back and forth game. As the Jays would retake the lead with a Teoscar Hernandez walking Lourdes Gurriel double. And then the bottom of the eighth, Danny Jansen went into a solo shot. That would be it. I wasted a lot of breath talking about that, but the Blue Jays would win 10-8 over the Rangers. Hernandez was the first start, 1 for 2, home run, 3 RBIs. Vlad Guerrero Jr. 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. Lourdes Gurriel 1 for 4, 2 RBIs, a double. Mitch Garver and Corey Seager both had pretty good games, but all of these hits were important in the Jays' comeback. Winning's the most important. 8 runs, 8 hits, 1 error for the Rangers. 10 hits, 9 runs. Nope. Yeah. Sorry. 10 runs, 9 hits, 1 error for the Blue Jays. Reds Braves. This is the other team that had a 7-0 lead. And I think it would have been a very big disappointment if the Braves were 0-2 on the season of the Reds. But it would also be really interesting, especially if they blew a 7-run lead like the Rangers did. But that didn't end up happening, as in the bottom of the second, 3 walks to Duvall, Rosario, and D'Arnaud. A single would score them. Sorry. Let me try that again. In the bottom of the second, Duvall and Rosario would walk. A single by D'Arnaud would score Duvall, and then Swanson would walk. A sac fly by Arcia is how the second run would score. In the bottom of the third, that's when the Braves got up 7-0. As Riley would walk, Ozuna would single, Duvall would double, scoring Riley. D'Arnaud would get another RBI single. This one would score 2. Swanson would walk again, and D'Arnaud would score an Orlando Arcia single. Albies would reach on a fielder's choice, scoring Swanson. It would be 7-0 Braves. Reds fought back in the top of the fifth. Votto would single, Stenzel would double, and then a Mustaka sac fly would get the Reds on the board, making it 7-1. Fraley and Pham would both walk. Fraley would move over to third on a fielder's choice. Votto would be hit. The bases were loaded for Stevenson, who gets a 2 RBI single. Tyler Stevenson is a guy you're going to want to pay attention to if there's any fantasy baseball people. He's a really solid catcher, and I think he's going to break out this season at 7-3. And the top of the ninth, Kenley Jansen might have thought he was trying to get the Dodgers to win, like he has been for the last 8 years, because he wasn't very good. Joey Votto would walk, Stevenson would single. A single by Farmer scores Votto, and then Fraley would single, scoring 2, making it 7-6. With their best hitter, arguably, Jonathan India at the plate. I would say best hitter now because Winker and Castellanos and Suarez are gone. India would, however, be the last out. Jansen and the Braves would survive. Braves get their first win as reigning World Series champs, 7-6. D'Arnaud was the first start, 2 for 4, 3 RBIs. Stevenson was the second start, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. Matt Olson was 3 for 5 with a double today. Somehow he didn't end up in any of these. That's interesting. But he had a good second game as a Brave. He had a pretty solid first game too, with a couple of walks, but this one was better. 6 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Reds. 7 runs, 8 hits, no errors for the Braves. 2 more games, as we have a very, very long game. This is the first game that I can say I was not able to fit on the entire page. So if you care about a bottom of the ninth RBI single by Jared Walsh, can't tell you it was Jack Mayfield who doubled, and then Walsh would single. That I'm probably going to forget to say that because I didn't have enough room to write that down. If Ronald Blanco in his debut could just pitch a good ninth inning, I would have been able to have everything in there. But some things just can't work out. Jose Altuve did have something work out for him though. So he hit a leadoff home run at the top of the first. However, the Angels would retake the lead. Actually, I shouldn't say retake. They never had the lead in the first place. But they took the lead as Ohtani and Rendon would both single. Walsh would drive in Ohtani on a single. Then Rendon would score on a pass ball. Maldonado is a pretty solid defensive catcher. We saw him have 2 pass balls in this game. In the top of the fourth, Elemis Diaz would homer to tie the game 2-2. And then Jose Siri in the top of the fifth would double. He would eventually be driven on a Jose Altuve ground out. And we were talking about Joe Adele's bad throw. Jared Walsh might have had one of the worst throws to ever be seen on a Major League diamond. Siri was like 10 feet away from home plate, and I think the ball got closer to hitting Siri's head than it did the catcher.
In yesterday's edition, you made fun of me making fun of Joe Adele, but that's 2 games in a row.
Joe doesn't make the bad throw. This was Jared Walsh. However, the announcers, like I was gonna say, were busy talking about white shoes, and they're friends. Like we're drinking buddies. It's like they're at the bar or something like that. Again, I'm for the Apple TV games, especially since you don't have to pay money, like $5, like we thought we had to do to see the game. However, please get better announcers. I'm not saying that Katie Nolan does not belong in a MLB job, but it just seemed like she, along with Steven Nelson, didn't do any homework on the game. Jeremy Pena had his first career hit, and they didn't even know. And I mean, it's bad, and this isn't anything against Hunter Pence, but when Hunter Pence is the most serious and knowledgeable guy in the booth, that's bad. Nothing against Katie Nolan, nothing against Steven Nelson. I'm sure they're perfectly fine people, but they didn't make very good announcers. And I mean, her catchphrase was "wow." The analysis from all the guys were not good. Steven Nelson sounded like he was bored half the game, except when Otani was at the plate. And we were talking about Hunter Pence in Australia. I love Hunter Pence. I don't really care about him in Australia, especially when the Astros, my favorite team, are batting. Like, talk about the game. You don't have a rapport with these people like local broadcasters do. That's why, local broadcasters can get away with a little more of stuff in the middle because you have a good, because people know them, people understand them, if that makes sense. I don't hate the Apple TV games. I think it's a good idea in theory, and I don't want to just crap all over Steven Nelson and Katie Nolan because I don't like crapping on people, but they probably weren't they weren't very good. Bregman is on pace for 162 home runs as he would hit his second home run of the season, putting the Astros up 4-2. However, all hell broke loose at the top of the seventh off of Mike Myers. Well, starting off of Mike Myers and Jimmy Herget. Jerry Pena would hit his first career home run as Heidi Watney was interviewing Geronimo Pena and his wife. I should have just said his parents, but I said Geronimo Pena because he was a former MLB player. Siri would single, Maldonado would walk, Brantley would score Siri off of a double. Bregman would single off of the glove of third baseman. That would score Maldi. Alvarez would double, scoring Bregman. Diaz would single and then scoring Alvarez. And then Tucker would hit a 3-run home run. And that would make it 12-2, and all hope of the Angels winning was lost. Except for some reason in the 8th inning, they thought that they were gonna rally, even though, I'm not saying anything in baseball is impossible, but I feel like even the Angel announcers wouldn't have been so annoying after a single, and they just wouldn't stop talking about rallies and stuff like that. Like, part of the reason that we have this Apple TV is because you want to introduce the games and explain the games to other fans. Like I said, they didn't do a whole lot of explaining at all. And they're pretty annoying in this 8th inning. Maybe it was because I was irritable because the game had been going on for 4 hours and not Hector Neris, excuse me. Pedro Baez was pretty disappointed for the Astros recently, but they're just annoying and hard to It didn't have the same family feel as the Astros broadcast or other broadcasts that I've listened to whenever I watch other games. Like the Cubs broadcast, that was pretty good too. It's not just that the Astros broadcast isn't there. The Mayfield would single, a air by new Astro Nico Goodrum would let Walsh reach. Rojas would get an RBI double, and then Suzuki would ground out. A pretty solid play by Joe Perez, who was also making his debut, like I mentioned. Ronald Blanco was. So 3 debuts in the last 2 games for the Astros. Tyler Wade would single. That would chase Baez. It would be 12-5 after the 8th inning. Tucker would hit his second home run, just like Alex Bregman. He's on pace for 162 home runs this year. And that make it 13-5. I had just enough room to write WRBI 1B, which was talking about Walsh's RBI single that I was hoping that I wouldn't have to write down. Like I said, it came off of Ronald Blanco. Blanco looked pretty good, but of course they just had him in there because they didn't want to waste Presley or Nerese or Stanek or anyone else like that from the bullpen. The Astros would win 13-6. Pena was the first star, obviously, home run, double, triple shy of the cycle. That's a tongue twister. He was 3 for 5 with an RBI. Tucker was 2 for 5, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. Bregman looks very, very good. He was the third star, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs, a home run, 14 hits, no errors for the Angels. 6 runs, 13 hits, 1 error for the 13 hits, 13 runs, 14 hits, no errors for the Astros. 6 runs, 13 hits, 1 error for the Angels. Okay, I had to say that slowly. I don't want you editing until tomorrow, so I had to say that slowly, make sure I got it right. Last game, Padres Diamondbacks. This game was very similar to last game of the Padres Diamondbacks, even though the result was different. The first 5 innings were scoreless. Profar had a pretty solid game. He would hit a 2-run home run in the top of the 6th, and Minai would be taken out after throwing 7 innings. You're probably like a no-hit baseball. You're probably thinking, oh, well, maybe it was because he had 100 pitches. No, he had 88. The Padres are the first team ever to take out two different games, but take out a starter who has thrown a no-hitter through 6 innings or later and 100 less pitches in a season. They did it on back-to-back games, which is kind of crazy to say. And Tim Hill, I don't know if there's a stats by stats for this, which is usually credit to them. That's usually where I get all the stats from. But I wonder if there's ever been a guy who's blown a no-hitter twice, 2 games in a row after 7 or more no-hit innings or something like that. Because Tim Hill, he blew the second no-hitter. The Diamondbacks got 2 on with the leading run at the plate. However, they weren't able to score. At the top of the 8th, after Hosmer would double, Profar would single, Hosmer would score on an error. The Padres would win 3-0. Pretty good game for the Padres. This was a way better game than how no-hitting the Diamondbacks through 6 innings went for them last time. Sean Manaea was easily the first star. 7 no-hit innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So it wasn't like Darvish's no-hitter where he had more walks than strikeouts. Profar was the second star easily. He had the only at-bats where the Padres scored last night. He was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, a home run, and a walk. Hosmer was pretty good yesterday, too. He was 3 for 4 double. 3 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Padres. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Diamondbacks. So those are all the games for today. I'm going to go and do the recaps for tomorrow. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you come back for the next show. Thanks, and thanks to Parker Coleman.